Hello and welcome back. Now, if you ever had the chance to speak to your students about watching lecture videos, and if they are ever honest with you, they will tell you that the process is this. As much as possible, they will try not to watch lecture videos. They will look at the lecture transcripts and the lecture slides. And only if they feel that they are missing out on certain things, will they then watch the lecture videos, and they'll do it at 2 times speed, 3 times speed, 4 times speed, just to see if they missed out on anything. And I know this because my students tell me this, and to be honest, I was once a student and I would do the same actually. If the videos are so painfully boring, well, there is no incentive to watch them, right? So the question that we need to ask ourselves is this: what really is the value of having lecture videos if students feel that they can learn everything they need from the transcripts, from the slides? Yeah? Because if they can do all that from reading, then what's the point in having lecture videos in the first place? I think that what's important is for us to recognize that education is not about dumping information into the students' heads. Yeah? It's more than just feeding them with information. We're also teaching them critical thinking skills on what to do with that information. So that's not something that can be easily or effectively taught through reading. And in many ways, it's about us guiding the students from point A to point B to point C and so on. Yeah? So if you agree with me that this is the value of having lectures, so the next thing that we need to do is to design lecture videos to bring that process to the forefront. Now, there are 2 things that I recommend. Number 1, the element of surprise. And number 2, the use of storytelling. So let me explain. Now, the element of surprise is, surprisingly, very important to lecture videos, because one challenge we have to deal with is students prematurely closing lecture videos without watching to the end. Now, this is a very common problem, even for myself, okay? And one that sabotages the students' own learning. So it's not just about keeping videos short, it's also about keeping the learner engaged enough to watch to the very end of the video. So why do students prematurely close the video? Because they feel that they have acquired all they need to know from the video. Now, I'm aware that good pedagogy dictates that we should make clear the learning objectives at the start so that the student knows what to expect. But from my own experience with online learning, this is actually more of a disadvantage to the student. Why? Because students sabotage their online learning. Yeah? They use that as a checklist to determine whether they have watched enough, they have acquired enough information that they need. And if they feel that they have ticked all the boxes, they will stop watching the video. So the element of surprise keeps them in suspense, and it prevents them from thinking that they have acquired everything they think they should know from the video. So they don't know what to expect, right? So they are forced to sit through the video all the way to the end. Of course, we can review a little bit about what we want to cover, but don't review everything. You want to keep them in suspense, you want to surprise them, yeah? Now, storytelling is another very useful technique for lecture videos. For starters, storytelling is a very concrete demonstration of how the knowledge and skills are applied. Yeah? This is a great way for us to teach processes and techniques in an engaging way, because let's face it, just talking about process and technique can be incredibly dry. So on their own, students often complain that they can't see the application of what they have learned. So the use of stories helps them to visualize, helps them to realize the applications of what they are learning. Now, the other thing that I love about storytelling is that a good story invests the learner in the subject. It invests the learner into the video itself. The learner wants to know what is going to happen next. How will the story unfold? How will it end? So that desire to know the ending prevents the learner from actually prematurely closing the video. Now, I once attended a talk by the Academy Award winner, Professor Ben Shedd. Okay? He makes a lot of films, documentary films, and he shared a very powerful technique that he uses in his documentaries. You can deeply immerse the learner in the subject of your video by invoking the word imagine. Yeah? Imagine that you are such and such a person in such and such a city, in the busy crowded area. Yeah? Imagine that in front of you stands a magnificent old tree and such and such a scenario. Now, I have this thing called aphantasia. It prevents me from seeing anything in my imagination. Like for example, I tell you to imagine an apple. You probably can see an apple in your mind, right? For me, blank, nothing. Yeah. But I've seen Ben Shedd's documentary films, okay, and the way he uses imagine, okay? It's so powerful that even for people like myself who cannot see anything in my imagination, it evokes certain moods and emotions. That's how powerful it is, just to command the viewer to imagine. Yeah? So you can use this technique and tie it in with your storytelling to captivate the learner. Yeah? I use it in my videos, I use it in my tutorials, and even in my various assessments, from MCQ quizzes to group projects. It's amazing how my students get so captivated into it that they participate in that imaginative role play. So that's some food for thought for you, so give it a try. Now, in the next lecture video, I'll talk to you about motivation, yeah? How to make your lecture videos so good that students want more. Alright, so see you, bye!